Geneen Roth has spent years trying to help people understand that compulsive eating and dieting go far beyond just food, weight, and body image. But now in her new book, This Messy, Magnificent Life, she examines our self-criticism and how we can stop trying to fix ourselves and our lives and instead learn how to embrace our wonderful, chaotic existence instead. So here with us now is Geneen Roth. It is great to meet you. Thanks for being back on the show. I appreciate it. Okay, so this is your 10th book. Where does this one sort of pick up from where your prior one left off?
Right, so my prior one, Women, Food, and God, was about using the relationship with food as a doorway into your very deepest beliefs about joy and nourishment and deprivation and what you're allowed to have and all of that.
Right.
After healing that relationship with food, I realized that the rest of my life, there was a low-level anxiety and discontent and sort of seeing things through a wash of negativity and not enough.
Right.
And I wanted to see if I could apply the same things that I used with food to the rest of my life.
Here's something that I thought was really fascinating about this book is that you have spent literally decades trying to figure things out, become self-aware, address your own issues, but sort of a fundamental part of this book is like, stop trying to fix it. But that can actually be harder than it seems, right? To just live in that moment and accept the chaos around us.
Right, because stop trying to fix it also involves realizing that there's what I call the crazy aunt in the attic, screaming at you all day long
Right.
about what you did do, that you shouldn't have done, what you shouldn't have done, that you should have done, what you're going to do that's already not enough, how you're wrong. And so not fixing it basically is becoming aware of what's already running you.
Right.
And stopping that crazy aunt in the attic. Not so much stopping it, but having her in the attic and you live 3 floors down so you're not listening to the ongoing judgment and shame.
And that constant push and pull of wanting more, thinking you're not enough and then wanting more, and that trying to just live in that happy medium. And toward the beginning of the book, you give this great example where your home was threatened by a fire.
Yes.
And you evacuated.
Yes.
And that sometimes it takes something, a traumatic event, to snap everything into focus.
Yes.
Why can't we just have that focus the rest of the time? Why does it require something that scares us to do that?
Well, you know, I think that's why I have a PhD in catastrophes, because I have so many fires and earthquakes and breaking my back and, you know, being sick for 4 months. And each of those things woke me up, particularly that one really woke me up to the question of what's enough. I had to figure out what to take in my car and what to leave. And I suddenly realized that most of the clothes in my closet I hadn't worn for quite a long time. And I really didn't want all the stuff I had. And so then it brought up the question of what was enough.
Mm-hmm. There's also a big theme in this book for women about finding their voice, finding their empowerment, using it. When did you write that, and what has that just been a lifelong realization of yours? Was it something very current that made you feel that way?
Well, I started realizing that so much of my own energy was tied up in what I looked like. The size of my thighs, the size of my arms, what was happening to my neck, you know, that whole long thing. And that if I took that energy and used it to change the world, or at least accept myself, but really then to take action in the world, I realized that for most people, women especially, that would be enough energy to light up an entire city.
Right.
To just release the energy of that obsession.
Yeah. You talk too about getting back to weight, that for a lot of people, if they finally lose the weight that they think they've always needed to lose, and they get to a size that they feel like they always needed to be, they don't necessarily feel right in that body because maybe it didn't have anything to do with that in the first place.
Right. Often it doesn't. Issues with food, or really most other things except for survival-based issues, let's just say, take food, are really not about food. They're about what you feel like you're allowed to have and how you're trying to make up for it by taking more food or eating less food. So it's about a core belief. I'm not enough. I'm not allowed to have what I really want. I will never be the person I really want to be. Therefore, here are some mashed potatoes. I think I'll just take a lot because I can get these now.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people too will want to read a book like this to to learn through you and your experiences, but then they might have the perception of, once I have really taken this in, now suddenly I'm going to have this life epiphany where everything is better. But that's just not life, right? We're going to backslide, and that's okay.
Well, it's about, the reason I called it this messy, magnificent life is there's no way of having a life that's not messy.
Right.
We get sick, people we love get sick, we get into accidents, our kids get sick. I mean, there's so much to do that we don't have time to do. And so I wanted to teach people how to use that messiness and not to try to get rid of it as a doorway to the life they want most, to the re-enchantment, I call it, of daily life.
Yeah.
By being in their bodies, not leaving their bodies, stopping the crazy aunt in the attic,
Right.
asking themselves what's not wrong every single day, establishing a ground of goodness. So I give a lot of practices or tips, I don't usually use that word tips, but anyway, I do give a lot of those in there about how to do it.
Do you ever go back and read your own writing and go, yeah, I need to focus more on this thing that I discovered, and I try to put into practice, but it's easy, like you said, to get wrapped up in the minutia of the day-to-day and forget to just take that minute and
I have
breathe.
to remind myself many times a day. On my bad days. On my good days, I'm flying. On the days where I'm, why did this happen? What's wrong with me? They did me wrong, and I just feel like either a constant complaint coming out of my mouth, which I've stopped doing, and I do write about the practice of not complaining. Major not to complain.
Yeah.
And then reminding myself of what I actually do know, that there's so much that's not wrong. So much more that's not wrong than is wrong.
Yeah.
And when you start going through that, then your whole worldview changes and you're better able to see what to do next in your life. It's not like you become self-indulgent and, okay, well, I think I'll just relax and eat bonbons and rollers all day long.
Right.
It's not like that. It's that, oh, there's some measure of acceptance, and from that goodness and acceptance, I now can decide what to do about work, about how I feel called to act in my community, about what I can do to accept myself. So things become much clearer then.
And it makes it a lot easier to laugh at all of those messy days that we have, which always helps.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for this. This is a book worth reading once and then going back to every time that you need it, which is often. So thank you for being with us. And Geneen will actually discuss and sign copies of this Messy, Magnificent Life tonight at 7 at Elliott Bay Book Company in Seattle. And we have linked more information online. It was a real pleasure to meet you. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
Still ahead, we are set to take the wheel of New Day Hot Topics for a spin. Meet this week's hilarious guest panelists after this quick break. Thank you so much.